ලුවාන්ක එකේ සුපිරි ඉන්ධන නිෂ්පාදකයා Eco Tablets.
A tradition being followed for
So, the strong message I would like to communicate to the prospective investors here is
Office of the President Secretariat and
in similar projects. We do have and convert just before the due break.
in addition to that firm capacity,
Time will come, spend some time in
prices, and also, as you said, these large-scale wind and solar.
finalizing another 100 megawatt.
But as far as electricity is concerned,
The solar cost of solar is
this, but the people of Sri Lanka has also shown an enormous resilience.
Efficiently. Why was 10 megawatts taken?
Levels of any developing country. It has a very high life expectancy, and as Rovan said, the level of living in Sri Lanka is very.
Mass. What do you mean by biomass? Do you mean waste to energy? Or do you mean biogas or both?
So let's celebrate this enormous progress because it shows the hard work and the spirit of the people of Sri Lanka. That's of course what we can build upon for the future. Last week we got very good news for Sri Lanka, and I will congratulate all those who have contributed to that, for sure. Most of all, President Wickremesinghe, but many, many others. Agreement with the International Monetary Fund, with China, and with India on debt restructuring for Sri Lanka. Yes, there will be many difficulties in the future, but it's a platform for Sri Lanka to put the worst of the economic crisis behind itself and move forward and look into the future.
we'd like to invite a representative to please join us.
International Climate University.
And the investments, and it's a source of a lot of conversations around the world, just getting those taxonomies right.
Pretty much detailed out the potential areas. Thank you very much.
especially from Mannar and one more project that to. So I don't think we saw this in the CB generation plan.
Presentation is in your area.
Like where are gold standard or what type of carbon credit you are working?
got any insights on that just from my knowledge.
A blind question of whether Sri Lanka.
When it comes to, nature, what is your opinion?
So I see here, and I'd like to say, I would like to hear from you.
on government finances to create jobs and to rebuild the economy.
Innovation Expansion Plan, which is now approved by the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka. The Renewable Integration Study has been completed.
Tariffs that, when fully implemented, will provide access, affordability, and choice to all consumers.
Compare with one of the best utilities in India, it is 16%. So 9% is an excellent figure.
Hope that in coming years we have a big potential.
In similar projects.
And I cannot name them all.
So the Global Renewable Alliance, which was founded in COP20.
We've set up, also the an overview and also the sort of services.
Opening Sri Lanka up to the world now, after the economic, towards the green economy. So renewable energy and green, plus I think it's good to have, so the green and blue bonds, that's something that we need to explore. Also establishing links to, I spoke to President.
At some point becomes part of the offshore wind. When do you think you will be able to have that fully?
Energy, we have the potential to provide energy once we.
And this I think is something.
Good morning, Colombo. Morning. It's such a privilege to be with three ministers, my friend Rovan, my friend Dr. Jasinghe, and so many other friends at this event. I cannot mention you all, but thank you so much, all of you, for coming. I really took notice of what Indian Foreign Minister Jai Shankar said this weekend. He said there are two types of people in the world. Those who have visited Sri Lanka and those who will visit Sri Lanka. Well, all of you are in the category of those who have visited Sri Lanka, but you can encourage the rest of the world to move into the category of those who will visit Sri Lanka. I have been associated with Sri Lanka since 1998, when then President Chandrika Kumaratunga asked me to be involved in the peace process here. And I'm more aware than most that Sri Lanka has been through periods of pain, of war, economic crisis, but the people of Sri Lanka has also shown an enormous resilience through these crises. It has one of the highest education levels of any developing country. It has a very high life expectancy, and as Rowan said, the level of living in Sri Lanka is very high. So let's celebrate this enormous progress because it shows the hard work and the spirit of the people of Sri Lanka, and that's of course what we can build upon for the future. Last week we got very good news for Sri Lanka, and I will congratulate all those who have contributed to that, for sure, most of all President Wickremesinghe, but many, many others. Agreement with the International Monetary Fund, with China and with India on debt restructuring for Sri Lanka. Yes, there will be many difficulties in the future, but it's a platform for Sri Lanka to put the worst of the economic crisis behind itself and move forward and look into the future. There are a number of people coming from different corners of the world here, and some of you may just come for this event. But I just tell you, next time you come, spend some time in Sri Lanka. This nation has an absolute unique tourist potential. It's the only place in the world I know of where within 3 hours travel from Colombo, you can see the most beautiful national parks with elephants. You can see mountains of 2,500 meters reach, fantastic culture places like Anuradhapura, or Polnaruwa, or Kandy, and of course some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, adding to the big city life of Colombo. Yes, some other nations, like say India, has an enormous amount of attractions, but not concentrated in the way in Sri Lanka. So this is the unique tourist destination. Tourism is now coming up, but a lot more people can come to boost the economy of Sri Lanka and to have the fantastic experiences of visiting this beautiful country. Today, we are here to focus on renewable energies. Sri Lanka, as was said, has a fantastic potential for renewables, for wind power at land and at sea. It's a very shallow shelf between India and Sri Lanka, which is very well suited for offshore wind. There's a good potential for solar. There's many rivers which can bring pumped storage, and it can be a hub for green hydrogen. Others will speak with more detailed knowledge on all this later today. Let me just set out one issue, and that is we need to change our perspective. Far too often people speak as if going green is a cost. It's not. It's an enormous opportunity. Yes, 10 years ago, solar energy was very expensive. Now it's the cheapest energy anywhere in the world. A recent study from the United States showed that if the United States go into solar, it's not just cheaper than to make new solar than to make new coal. It's cheaper to make new solar plant than to run old coal plants. So every single dollar the Americans move from coal into solar, they save money, adding to improve people's health and the environment. And the best underpinning of that message is that the two biggest developing countries are now the two leaders of the green revolution. Sorry for us in the West. Most Americans and most Europeans have not really taken on board this message, but China and India is now leading the surge into the green future. China, ladies and gentlemen, is the global leader on every single green technology. 82% of all solar panels in the world last year were made in China. 70% of all electric batteries last year were made in China. 80% of all new hydropower in the world last year came in China. And I can go on and go on. But if you move to India, Prime Minister Modi is launching green initiatives by the day. They are called green missions, basically using the old way of working like the South Koreans did, using the state as a vehicle for the transformation of the private sector. The investments will come by the Adanis and Ambanis and the Renews and the Acme, all the players in the private sector. Then Prime Minister Modi is making it easy for them by green hydrogen mission, electric mobility mission, electric battery missions, production of solar panel mission, etc., etc. And why is China and India doing this? Because it's good for the environment, it's good for people's health, but it's also good for the economy. They believe they can capture markets. Look, China and India didn't have a massive car industry in the past. There is no brand from China or India comparable to Toyota or Volkswagen. So what will they do? Leapfrog into the future, capture the markets in the new green future. And Sri Lanka, with such a good relationship to China, but so close to India, have enormous opportunities to tap into this. But of course, working with Japan, Korea, Europe, America, all who can contribute to the development of Sri Lanka, bring investment, but capture markets for Sri Lanka. Just across the strait in Tamil Nadu, there is a company called Ola. That's the Uber of India. They have set up a fantastic factory, 2,000 young Indians just making electric scooters in Tamil Nadu. It's a beautiful, clean, fantastic place. The owner said, I really wanted to show what Indian ladies and girls can do. But they have a slogan which I really think is fun and good. And that is, Tesla for the West, Ola for the rest. Meaning that Ola can capture any amount of markets with two-wheelers, three-wheelers, and four-wheelers made right there in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. So that is the vision I really want to set for Sri Lanka, to be part of this great surge of developing countries, capture markets, increasing the economy, providing jobs while going green at the same time. And mind you, that is exactly the vision of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. He really wants to take with you Sri Lanka out of the crisis, but in a green way. I'm so much looking forward to this conference where people will set out this vision in much more concrete and much more detailed terms. But let's all embrace this vision. We can create jobs and prosperity and go green all the same. And that's the future of Sri Lanka and indeed the world. Thank you.
I take this opportunity to extend a very warm welcome to all of you to this important event. I hope we can exchange views in a frank and forthright manner and learn from each other's experiences in dealing with potential and project-related issues in the renewable energy sector in Sri Lanka. And I'm sure that it will pave the way to create networks and partnerships for clean energy development in Sri Lanka. Before we commence, I will set out how we plan to conduct the event. Today, we will be focusing on key areas for the development of Sri Lanka, such as economic environment, how we can facilitate investors in Sri Lanka and roll up carbon credits in climate change, followed by a networking session. Ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, let me highlight the objectives of this important event. Sri Lanka, being a country with abundant renewable energy potential, is seeking opportunities in transitioning to renewables to march towards sustainable development. The transition does not limit reducing fuel imports that are placing a burden on government finances. It enables the creation of jobs, including for women, and rebuilds the economy based on clean and affordable energy. The transition will create multiple gains for the economy, the energy industry, and the environment. Sri Lanka is a low carbon emitting country with emissions of approximately 1.02 tons per capita per year on average.
The country's development pathway has always remained low carbon intensive. Sri Lanka is a very rare example of a country that has achieved higher human development while managing CO2 emissions well below the Paris Agreement. As a party to the Paris Agreement, Sri Lanka is also committed to reducing the greenhouse gas emissions by 14.5% by 2030. Correspondingly, the country is further committed to achieving a 70% share of renewable energy in electricity requirements by 2030, carbon neutrality by 2050 in electricity generation, and no further capacity addition of unabated coal power generation. Investing in renewable energy is one way for companies to demonstrate their commitment to sustainability and reduce the environmental impact. In this context, the private sector is crucial in developing and deploying renewable energy technologies. The government of Sri Lanka invites local and foreign direct investments to develop renewable energy in Sri Lanka. This summit is expected to pave the way for investors to explore potential for mobilizing green energy investments in Sri Lanka's energy sector. This will also create networks and partnerships with green investments for clean energy. So, this summit is expected to be the opening to accelerate the country's transition to a low-carbon economy and achieve climate commitment collectively. Thereafter, ladies and gentlemen, I will open the floor for all you dignitaries and cordially invite to actively take part in the Sri Lanka Clean Energy Summit 2023 to create networks and partnerships for clean energy development in Sri Lanka. Before concluding, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our President, Ranil Wickremesinghe, for initiating this great idea and leading us, guiding us throughout. I would also like to express my sincere thanks to His Excellency Eric Solheim, I have had the privilege to be working with on the climate sector. Eric has been and will always be a true friend to Sri Lanka. And I would like to thank Dr. Sulakshana and the team from the President's Secretariat for helping us organize this event today. And a special thank you to Mr. Nathan Sivagananathan and his orbital group also for helping us organize this event today. I thank everyone for being here today to make this event a success, and I hope we will make the best of this event. May the country prosper. Thank you.